Well, before I talk about our live, work, and play environments as a key element in our developments in Atlanta, Phoenix, and Dallas, I just want to say thank you for having me here today. Many of you may be wondering, why does the largest auto insurer in the United States want to talk about public transit? Today, 1 in 5 cars on the road are insured by State Farm, but we do much more than auto insurance. It's just a part of our business. We have multiple product lines and insure a lot more than just cars. We also value being a good neighbor in our communities and a good neighbor to those communities where our employees live, work, and play. While we want people to drive cars and we want to insure those cars, we also provide a service to our customers. When we selected Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix, we were very intentional about selecting metropolitan areas that could benefit from State Farm, our current and future employees, and our customers. As many of you know, metropolitan areas come with different challenges than smaller communities, transportation being one of those. Transportation had to be in the forefront of our minds as we worked with developers on these live, work, play environments to meet our future customer needs. Customer service looked very different 100 years ago when State Farm was founded. Today, our current customers want us to be available 24/7, 365 days a year. They also want us to be available where they want, everywhere from an agent's office to a smartphone app to a Twitter feed. That type of availability means that we needed to expand our 24/7 environments. Metropolitan areas like our hub cities offer the talent pools we needed to make very modern customer service a reality for our customers, but they also required us to adapt. The cost of supplying parking and the impact of more cars on the road and to the environment, and then the congestion alone meant that in our hubs, we needed to think differently and creatively from the very beginning. Light rail stations and transit options were a requirement in our new facilities in Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix. The City Line development here in Dallas is now operational, and we can see what the transit connection looks like in action. To make it successful, we needed it to be on the campus, just steps away from where our employees were. I talk about how work environments have changed, but our employees have changed, and I want to pause and talk briefly about that. One thing we have learned is that our employees have different expectations. Things like charging stations and Wi-Fi are no longer nice to have, but the need to have features. And that trend doesn't appear to be reversing anytime soon. I'd like to give you an example of what I mean. At our corporate headquarters in Bloomington, Illinois, we're also refreshing some of our physical spaces. My dad and sister recently visited, and we were sitting in a small collaborative space in what seemed like just some comfy chairs. But these chairs are sort of special. They are fully connected. You can charge your phone, plug into a USB port, and get a Wi-Fi connection without ever leaving your chair. As a professor of a university in the Midwest, my sister jokingly said that if they provided these chairs at the university, there'd probably be students that would break their leases and just live there. While these amenities may not seem like necessities, the work environment of our employees has drastically changed. To attract and retain talent, we knew we needed to design workplaces of the future. We wanted our work environments to have an accessible orientation for employees in the neighboring community. Public transportation and technology are key to making that concept work. When we began talking about our facilities in Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix, we started with a live, work, play overarching philosophy. The live, work, play concept is really about connections. It's not about the amenities that we provide in the development. It means that the office, entertainment, and residential space are all connected. We implemented this philosophy with our future employees in mind, the same ones who expect chairs to come with charging stations and a hotspot. We wanted workspaces that were connected to the community. In Phoenix, the Arizona Room is a space that highlights open-air features, water features, and a fully connected environment across a sprawling development. Here in Texas, a community outreach center is a place where we drive employee engagement and retention by connecting employees to their work and communities. And we wanted to connect employees with multiple housing options, with restaurant and entertainment venues, and with access to educational institutions, plus access to health and wellness facilities. While some of the facilities are near those elements, we centered each of our developments around public transportation to broaden those connections. Having a transit stop near the building allows employees to be more integrated into their daily lives. I mentioned earlier that customer service is no longer an 8 to 5 business. We need to be available 24/7, but call volume varies greatly through the day, so we had to adapt our schedules. We have employees who work split shifts. They'll come to work in the morning, they'll leave in the middle of the day and go to school, and they'll come back. We have employees who get a new shift every 3 months, which means 4 times a year they're adjusting their lives, including their transportation options. But what does that look like in practice? In many of our facilities across the country, employees have long relied on public transportation or carpooling to get to work. So even as a company, we've had to adapt some of our practices. We recognize that we had to work differently, asking departments to think about transportation as they think about employees' schedules. For example, a function that has 500 people can't set one start and stop time. 500 people leaving at once means your elevators are packed, your parking lots are backed up, and the shuttles to these access points for transit are fully utilized. When that function staggers even 15 minutes, the bottleneck starts to dissolve. Staggering is a cultural shift for some of our employees and leaders, but when they see the realities, the second becomes the norm. Our operations can't function effectively if our employees are stuck on freeways or waiting for an elevator or can't get to a transit stop. In order to be successful, we need our employees to use multiple transportation methods. Research has told us that in Arizona, in Atlanta and Dallas, an employee could save up to $10,000 a year. We offer employees the opportunity to save further by automatically purchasing transit passes up to $130 a month, pre-tax. The program offers employees the convenience of online ordering transit passes and having home delivery. They can also choose to set up a recurring order that will automatically recur the process every month. And we also try to celebrate our successes, and we use it to drive momentum around using multiple transportation options. Earlier this month, we celebrated the 150,000th ride from one of our facilities to a MARTA station in Atlanta. While donuts, juice, and gift certificates don't necessarily convince somebody to take public transportation, it does heighten the awareness around what the option is. Our most successful tool, however, is trying to make public transportation that's an easy and predictable option. In Atlanta, we have Transit Screen. Transit Screen is a real-time service that allows our employees to track multiple transportation options. They can access it in our lobbies, they can have this on their phones, and on their computers so they can look at it before they even leave their desks. This view is what someone would see on their computer or desktop. It gives them the information to see how many minutes would it take me to get to a transportation option. When is the next train coming? And then we've recently begun starting to put on car sharing options within this screen. What you see in this view is what someone would see on their mobile device. It helps employees use their time more efficiently because they can access it on their person. Employees are able to ask themselves, do I have time to grab coffee? Do I need to run? And how long will I have to wait for the next shuttle? This is also displayed in our lobbies so that if someone does not have a smart device, they still have the ability to see what are their options. Our employees have told us a commute could be 30 minutes or it could be an hour and 30 minutes depending on the day. So Transit Screen helps by taking the predictability. It helps by taking that predictability that public transit already offers and puts it in the hands of the employee. Before I finish today, I want to make sure I talk about our connections with communities. And while the technology of Transit Screen helps make public transportation convenient for our employees, we also know that it's vitally important to stay engaged in public transportation issues as a company. One of the lessons we learned very early on was that to be successful, we needed to have liaisons in each of our hub cities who worked directly with the local community. We have State Farm leaders who participate in local sustainability efforts, sit on transit boards, and are members of chambers of commerce. They stay actively engaged in the conversations that are happening around public transit and give a single point of contact to a local expert. For example, one of our leaders in Atlanta not just only knows how frequently a shuttle runs, but also knows where every one of our employees are commuting from and whether it will be a Greta bus or a MARTA train that will serve them best. This map is something we pull quarterly in conjunction with the Department of Transportation. Expanding express service buses on the north side of Atlanta has the potential to be very helpful for our employees where we have the most dense population. It helps us understand what transit expansions will be most helpful and focuses on the employee education of those options. Those personal connections keep us always thinking about what we can do to help drive public transportation efforts and then what we could be doing better. We started in Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix developments with the idea of mass transit being a key and vital part of that reality. One thing that we have learned, though, is that it's not a single solution and it's not the only solution. The developments can't just include a light rail stop. It needs to be multimodal. We need a combination of carpooling, park and ride, bus, bike, and pedestrian to make the environments very successful. And this combination will look differently in each of these locations. We know that we have to help our employees connect with their local communities, and part of that connection is with public transportation. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. I know that most of you in the room are in this work every single day, and you're experts in the field. And I hope this perspective from kind of an outsider is helpful to you also. Thank you.